we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Come right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, and a special episode this weekend on the Pop Culture Cosmos and my other show, the Inside Sports Fantasy Football, where we did a mega special 1 hour episode that's on both channels. So go ahead and check it out on either channel, Inside Sports Fantasy Football or the Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus also as well Game Source, of course. The great folks at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and check out Ox 1947. You know he's been talking Lakers schedule, the ins, the outs, where the Lakers got a little bit messed up, where their things are going right in the schedule. He'll talk about what's going on with the schedule here today, but you know he's been talking about it at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and be part of the conversation today at LakersBall.com. Plus, you know, if your lawn out there on the West Coast is all sloppy and messy due to all the rain and stuff like that, you could have gone and made something a little bit better for yourself, especially in the Southern California area. You're going to have that lawn transformed into something much more magical. Whether it's raining or sunshine, go ahead and you can change that today with Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. Plus, also as well, of course, our good friends at Lakerholics.com. The next scheduled Lakerholics Spotlight is going to be Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So go ahead and check out what Laker Tom's latest articles are all about at Lakerholics.com. Plus, Jamie Sweet is there with his 5 things. Those guys, will be on live here on this channel Sunday at 2 p.m. But I do want to make sure that you go ahead and check out Laker Tom's latest article where it is 10 things from 10 players that need to happen before the Lakers win a world championship, in his opinion. So go ahead and check it out today at Lakerholics.com. Our good friend John McCalian just put up a stream the other day talking about his goal is 50 pounds more he needs to lose by Halloween. Can he do it? Go ahead and join his journey today at the John McCalian channel. Speaking of YouTube, just like John McCalian, go ahead and hit the little Joe next to the big Joe right there, the little Joe. Click on it today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. We are still so close to 1,000 subscribers. So please, if at all, you know someone in your life that's a Lakers fan, please go ahead and help us out by going ahead and let them know about us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But wherever you get us, whether it's on social media, whether it's on podcasts for audio, whether it's on video on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, also YouTube, we appreciate any support that you give us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, very busy day for us here because we've been doing a lot of deep diving into the Lakers schedule. Also, as well, Team USA earlier today played Greece. So we want to go ahead and talk about both things today. First up, we're going to go ahead and do a recap of the Team USA victory in Abu Dhabi against Greece, 108-86. They pretty much cruised to a pretty fairly easy victory. The Team USA shot pretty decently overall, 39-68 from the field. 3-pointers, once again, still not very good, 11 out of 26. They were much better in their last game against Spain, which was their closest game, which kind of makes it all weird. But yeah, 11 out of 26 from 3. But overall, a good performance by the team. They did not have on Greece, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, so they could not really match up size-wise with Team USA, plus also the depth once again. Austin Reeves, for all of us Lakers fans, pretty solid performance yet again. 11 points, plus minus 10 on the positive side, always good there. 2 of 3 from behind the three-point arc, 3 of 3 from the line, 3 of 4 overall. Really solid performance. Just again, giving Team USA what they need from the bench. That's what they're looking for, and they need him to do it. Him and Tyrese Halliburton have really been doing a solid job coming off the bench. Cam Johnson as well, 5 of 10 for 13 points for him. Bobby Portis chipped in with 10, so really solid performance there. Also as well, Anthony Edwards really started to play now like the star that we need him to play. 21 points. Jalen Brunson just 4 of 6 today, 9 points, 7 assists, but he held firm, held steady. Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J only 3 of 3 in 10 minutes, so hopefully they can go ahead and make sure they get him some more time. He was in foul trouble, so maybe that had something to do with it. But overall, solid performance from the team. Their next game is coming on Sunday. But before we talk about the Sunday game, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check them out today at LakersBall.com and Simblades with a Y.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, great to have you here, my friend. Recapping Team USA and Greece, another solid win, another solid tune-up for this team. Again, this is not the Team USA that will roll out in Paris come next year, but they're doing a solid job on their own so far, my friend.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the game live. Didn't get a chance to see it from start to finish. I did get bits and pieces of it after I was able to finish for the day in terms of work. Uh, Team USA seemed to get out the gate pretty good, especially on defense. I think they held Greece to like 25% shooting in the first quarter, and pretty much kind of rolled from there. Greece did win the second quarter, so they did kind of, I would say, make it somewhat competitive. But in just what I saw, I didn't really see any kind of worrying in terms of what Greece could have done. I don't know if Giannis might have made a difference. Maybe it might have gotten a little closer, but this team seems to have really good chemistry, and I think Steve Kerr is relying a lot on the defense to kind of run with what they need and an even distribution on offense, and that's pretty much what we saw here today. Greece, I think, went on a 9-0 run late in the game to cut it down to 13, and then that was pretty much it. After that, the Team USA went ahead and kind of closed it out and ended up winning by 22. 20 turnovers, I believe, that they forced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
that was the other thing. It's very sloppy on the U.S. part as far as
it's interesting. How can you fault a team that's never played together and are not what your typical one-tier players are in international ball? So you're talking about at least 3 to 4 in terms of third and fourth tier type players, guys that are obviously going to be a lot better than most people out in the world. But you know, it is what it is. To me, all I care about is win it all, represent the country. Austin Reeves is going to get a little bit of this is part of the selfish part on this. Austin Reeves is going to get a little run here before training camp, so he's going to be in game shape before he gets in. And last year, I think that's what helped Schroeder in coming into the season.
No doubt. I agree with
playing you. And I think we might have discussed that a little bit before the season started during the Euro. What was it? The Euro basketball tournament.
Yes.
And I go, man, this could be a good thing because that
tournament was to qualify for this World Cup tournament.
Correct. So for those of you who think rest is important, yes, it's important. But most of the people that have been great or are good, rest is relative. I know we need to sleep 7-8 hours to really let the body recover, right? But what does rest really mean? What does it really mean? I understand if you're a 20-year vet like LeBron and you have to rest at that point, but if you're in your prime or about to get in your prime, more activity is better so that you're ready for the season. And I think we're going to get two things going our way here as United States Americans. We're probably going to have a good chance at winning a medal here, a gold medal, and then one of our guys is going to be ready, who is going to be very, very important this season, and he's going to be coming into training camp in shape, with game shape, and it could only mean good things, barring any injuries.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is a recap of Team USA's victory over Greece today. Definitely a solid performance, like you said, outside of the turnovers. I know that Steve Kerr will probably be focusing on that, the sloppy play as far as overall shooting was fair enough. The thing, though, that gets me in 3 of these 4 games, Joe, they have shot not even close to 40% from the 3 point area. The one exception was the Spain game where they shot very well, which was actually the closest game, which is when they needed it the most. Your thoughts? Is it traditionally a shorter 3 point than the normal NBA 3 point range, but the ball is also difference in size than what they're normally used to? You think that's probably the reason why, or one of the main reasons why they just do not have the same kind of effectiveness? Because a lot of these guys are around during the NBA season 40 to 42%. Cam Johnson, Austin Reeves, some of these guys are really good sharpshooters normally in the NBA, just still not being able to consistently find the range in FIBA.
It's I don't know why. That's a good question.
Maybe the ball, because the
I
ball is smaller, I believe.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe because the pressure. I think sometimes I think because the way they're playing in this particular tournament, it just they don't really maybe care as much. They're like, look, we're going to be able to win this with our defense. We're just stronger. We're better players. We're better athletes. If we feel like we really need to concentrate on opening up the offense, and I'm talking about Steve Kerr, if he really feels like he needs to, turn into, Steph Clay shooting gallery, he could probably devise a plan to do that. But I think what he's doing is he's using the defense side of the Golden State offense, where he's like, guys, because Golden State doesn't get enough credit during their dynasty about their defense. They're always talking about the 3 point shot. And they're talking about how good, the greatest shooters of all time. But their defense, and I'm not just talking about Draymond Green, we're talking about even Steph. Those guys played really good team basketball, and Clay, before his injuries, was a standout one-on-one defender. So I think Kerr is trying to make it simple for these guys, simplify it, make it easy, use Triple J, your defensive player of the year, as a guy that will intimidate any one of these guys out in international basketball, which he will. And then whomever you have, you got guys that are tall and long, guys like Brandon Ingram, just use the size, use your smarts. If you can shoot the game into a win, cool. If not, we got our defense as our anchor. We'll go ahead and do what we need to do then. And it did, they still scored 108 points, completely shooting themselves out on a lot of these things and having 20 turnovers. So I don't think there's anything there to worry about. I don't think they have to worry about, especially teams like Greece, in terms of them really shooting lights out for 4 quarters.
I do want to go ahead and correct it. The size is not smaller, Joe, on FIBA. The women's size is one size smaller, but the men's size for both FIBA and the NBA is the same. But the panels, the actual panels, the grooves in the basketball, they are different. I'm getting a quote now. The FIBA ball has 12 panels, while a regulation NBA ball has 8. I don't know if that makes a difference.
I think if you're picking a reason, if you're trying to find a reason, come on, guys. How long have NBA players been playing international ball? I know not everybody on this team.
Because the 3-point is in between. The distance for FIBA, 3-point is between college and the NBA. It goes college, FIBA, NBA.
I don't think that's a good enough excuse. I think it's performance, not doing what they're supposed to do, and that's because why are they turning the ball over 20 times? There's in the limited amount of time I've watched them play in these tournaments, and as they advance, I'm probably going to watch more and more of it, especially now that I'm probably going to be sitting inside for the next 3-4 days because of the possible hurricane in Southern California. I've never heard that in my life. So I'm gonna try to get an idea even more on what what the focus with this team is. They might think that they don't have to worry about playing too rigid. They're just going to just go out there, roll the ball up, win the games, and we have good chemistry and everybody gets along, and let's just go win what we're supposed to win. That's where I think their heads are.
Once again, it is the Lakers fast break. We are talking Team USA's victory over Greece earlier this morning, 108 to 86. But also here today, stopping by after some hot yoga, probably is a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and make sure you check out every time he's here. He's the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to go ahead and stop on by after some good hot yoga. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. Well, that's what the chat says. They thought you were at hot yoga. But it is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Sean, great to have you here. A victory for Team USA. Your thoughts on the game? A little bit sloppy. Still not finding the range consistently from three, but my gosh, they put on their own defensive show when they want to. They turn it on seemingly when they want to. Spain was the only challenge so far for them. But yeah, they seem to seemingly just like every good Team USA team that we've seen over the years. When they want to turn it on, they turn it on and get the job done.
100% drilled, and just goes to show Ant's the man. Ant's the man. He can play with any four guys out there. He's proven it. From the very first scrimmage, I imagine the coaching staff would say up until now. He's been the shining star for Team USA. Gerald, I just think he's going to be very hard to contain in the open floor in a FIBA tournament. It's going to be very difficult to corral him. Add in Tyrese Halliburton, put together a pretty nice game today, Gerald. It was a bit of this and a bit of that, offensively and defensively. Austin Reeves, steady again, 11 points. It just seems that Austin is just going to score like 11 to 15 points, 4 boards,
Every
4
time.
assists. Yeah, he's just money in the bank as far as a 15-4-4 game. So, like you said, Gerald, it was sloppy, but I mean, they got the job done. And, it's probably a good test as well, seeing as Greece is in their group. So they'll actually be seeing them during round robin play again. So probably good to get a familiarity with just what kind of offense they like to run. And my goodness, Gerald, they're such a different team without Giannis. I mean, what can you say?
Absolutely. They are a completely different team without Giannis. He makes so much of a difference for them. Joe, I don't see Greece as much of a challenge if they don't have Giannis in there, which most likely you will not see him because he's coming off the knee surgery. I suspect he will probably not play at all until training camp at the earliest. And probably this could be maybe a telling sign that he might be an issue, or his knee might be an issue at the first part of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I would say probably not. I'd say this tournament is not more important than the 2024 season for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have a lot to prove this coming year. They were a massive letdown last year. Granted, I know they had some injuries with some of their main guys, but still, you cannot lose to Miami in the first round, even if Chris Middleton isn't playing in that game. And you have a guy that was a runner-up as your defensive player of the year, and you have Giannis, and Budenholzer really screwed that up. He didn't put Giannis on Jimmy Butler when Giannis has a defensive player of the year award that should be with Anthony Davis. So, guys, coaches, use your stuff. Giannis is not 34. His number's 34, but he's not 34. Use him. Win championships. You're Milwaukee. If you have to squeeze that terry cloth all the way to win your second title in the Giannis era, and then that's it, you have now won 6 titles if you're like the Lakers. That's the equivalent. I mean, when was the last time Milwaukee won a title before 2021? 50 years earlier. So get your championships now, even if it means playing your guy out. I don't know what these guys are doing, holding stars in their prime back when you're in Milwaukee. I don't get it. Play the guy. Play him against the best players. You think Michael Jordan didn't play against the best players on defense when he was making his run, or Kobe? Come on, guys. Wake up. So if I'm Giannis, the hell with this tournament. This tournament doesn't do anything for you. Even if he was 100% healthy and could play, he's not beating the U.S. He's not beating any. They're not winning anything. So that's where I stand on that.
I will tell everyone, though, their next game is on Sunday. It's 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. It will be hopefully a game that they can go ahead and take care of easily. It's against Germany. We'll see. I'm sure maybe the matchups might be a little bit stronger than what they faced off against today, but go ahead and check it out. It'll be on Sunday, and hopefully we can go ahead and either wrap it up on a team preview of the New York Knicks I have scheduled for 6 p.m. Pacific time later that evening, or with the Lakerholic Spotlight earlier in the day on Sunday on 2 p.m. I may ask the guys to go ahead and do that as well. So make sure you go ahead and check out our coverage of Team USA against Germany. Again, the game itself is going to be on Fox on Sunday at 9
That will
a.m.
be a good test, Gerald.
I think it will be. I think there's enough firepower for Germany to at least give them a challenge.
Yeah, I think so. Dennis Schroeder has been playing really well for them. They seem to have found, I think, a spark with him and Franz Wagner. So we're going to see. That's a great test.
We'll see what happens indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, Magic Man Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. It is now turning to the main topic of the day, and that is the Lakers schedule, which was announced a couple of days ago. You guys have now had some time to go comb over all the things involved with it. The deep dive is now here. So let's talk the Los Angeles Lakers schedule coming up here. And of course, we talked about in the past opening night. That's at Denver. We also talked about what's coming up right after that 2 days later at home against Phoenix. What we didn't talk about is what happened since going on since then, because right after that Phoenix game on the 26th of October, 3 days later, they're at Sacramento. The next day, they fly back home for a back-to-back in Orlando. And that's something we'll go ahead and touch on first, because the Lakers, who had 12 back-to-backs last year, guys, now all of a sudden, with the Clippers, now have 15 back-to-backs. And while the Clippers, as was noted, seem to be flying more miles than anyone this year in the NBA, the Lakers are not too far behind. 15 of the back-to-backs, that's what they're going to be projected for, is 15 back-to-backs. A lot of that is being caused, or some of it, I should say, is being caused by the NBA Cup. The NBA Cup is causing some of these schedules to be constricted. So, and also the big televised games on Saturday and Sunday is also causing some of these Wednesday, Thursday back-to-backs. That's going to mean a little bit more back-to-backs for the Los Angeles Lakers, like I mentioned. But 5 of those back-to-backs are going to be in the LA area, meaning it'll be a Clippers some point in time at either the front or the back end of the back-to-back. So they will not, 5 of those back-to-backs will be in Los Angeles. So your thoughts on this, guys? This schedule, first glance, Joe, it's a little bit more challenging to you from what you see than what we were talking about this time last year, because you and I did a show last year on the schedule, the strength of schedule earlier in the season and how that worked. And obviously we saw what happened early in the season. What are your thoughts when you look at it first glance at the Los Angeles Lakers schedule?
I would, from what I've seen, it's almost like good month, bad month, good month, bad month. January is going to be brutal. However, the advantage there is they're playing at home essentially they will be at home after their road game against New Orleans on the 31st of December. They will be home from January 1st until January 26th except for one quick trip to Utah. One quick trip. They're gonna be in LA almost the entire month, except for one trip on a Saturday in Utah. That month, they're playing Miami, Memphis, Clippers, Toronto, Phoenix, Utah, Oklahoma City, Dallas, in every other game. That month is going to tell us who the Lakers are. But the advantage they have is they're going to be home for almost an entire month. Even towards the end of that run, they're playing the Clippers on the road. So it's a very favorable home, hard schedule in January. And if they come out of that winning 60, 65% of those games, I think you're looking at the Lakers making a pretty solid run at least a top 4 spot. The 15 back-to-backs, I mean, the difference between 12 and 15, I mean, I don't know. Do you 3 more back-to-backs? I don't know. I would say that the schedule, even in January, is they're playing every other day. They play on the 3rd, they're off the 4th. They play the 5th, they're off the 6th. They play the 7th, they're off the 8th. So it's almost like going back and forth, for an entire month. There's not going to be any Grammys this coming year. Is that correct? Or was that the Emmys?
The Emmys got pushed back to January.
Okay, so it wasn't the Grammys. Okay. Well, the Grammy trip
still
starts,
weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird trip.
Yeah, the Grammy trip is, it's weird. It's like the in-season tournament is right around that. I mean, not really, actually. It's
done.
Yeah, it starts in. Sorry, I was looking at the other month. It starts. What was it? December 30th?
Mm-hmm.
No, wait. No. I'm sorry. January 27th. Right after that January run I was telling you about. So then they go to Golden State, Houston, Atlanta, Boston, New York, and then Charlotte, which is not a bad schedule actually. Going to San Francisco after being in LA, all but almost only one stop in Utah during that month. And then that's when they go to Houston on a back-to-back against Houston and Atlanta. That one, don't be surprised if they end up losing. They always lose the back end of an Atlanta road game. So, but they'll have a day off before they play Boston on February 1, and then they'll play the Knicks a couple nights later. But looking at the schedule, March, the other month that looks pretty favorable in terms of a home schedule, they start March. Actually, it starts before. They're at home against Washington on February 29th, and then on the 28th of February, they're at home, really, because they're playing the Clippers. So that end of the month, in February, I hope you guys are all catching this while I'm saying this. If you're looking at the schedule, you'll totally understand what I'm saying. They finish on February 25th in Phoenix, and then they're off a couple days. And then from February 28th, we have leap year coming this year, by the way, so there's a 29 coming. 28th until March 12th, they're at home. And then they take one trip to Sacramento on that Wednesday. Then they come back and they're at home another 2 weeks. So essentially, all of January and all of March, they're at home. January is like the dog day of the NBA, right? That's like the August for baseball. And then March is right after the kind of like the all-star game and the trading deadline, and you're kind of burnt out, getting ready to get to April so you can know where you're going to be in the playoffs. So in the two kind of pivotal months, the Lakers have an advantage because they're at home most of the time. And I think that could be good things if there aren't any major injuries to LeBron and AD.
Once again, it is the Lakers fast break.
What kind of life do I have looking at Lakers schedules for like 2 hours?
There you go. A good life indeed.
Doing dissertations on it.
should be doing another class, Professor Joe Sorrell at Lakers History 101. But
Oh, Jesus Christ. If I was listening to myself, what were you doing all day? I thought you were working. I'm like, well, if for those of you who don't think you have time when you always make time when you want something, when you want to do something. Always remember that. That's how it works.
Absolutely, indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is our breakdown of the Lakers schedule. Joe is a scholar indeed, Southern Comfort. We are back once again. It is Joe Sorrow and Magic Man Sean Grice. We are talking the Lakers schedule. Magic Man, there you go. Absolutely. He's opening up his degree from Lakers Fast Break University. He's already as a tenured professor. There you go. There will be more classes coming up in the not too distant future. We will head back to Lakers Fast Break University. The school calendar starts a little later for Lakers Fast Break University, but we will start new classes indeed. But Magic Man, it is the Lakers schedule. I saw you dropping pens and trying to turn pages and all your notes and all that stuff. So I want to know you're getting prepared. So your thoughts, my friend, on the Lakers schedule. What really stands out to you on this upcoming schedule of 82 games for the Los Angeles Lakers?
You know what, Gerald? I tried to make that look as smooth as possible. I guess
did
it
not
just
come
looked,
close.
I
have nothing but
it
love
looked
for you, my
so
friend.
awkward, didn't it?
Yes. I know it sounded so awkward too, but I'm going to keep that in post so everybody knows an audio too. It's like, hey, it happens. I've dropped stuff all the time. No worries, my friend.
Fair enough. I tried to make that look so smooth that I failed.
Yes, absolutely.
miserably.
You're like, you dropped it and you're like,
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
But everybody was entranced by Joe and
Yeah,
his dissertation. There you go.
That's right. That's right. Joe causes a scene while everyone's cleaning up the
The
mess.
focus went on him.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, I would like to think so, considering I was talking.
Okay. So what you got, my friend?
If I was doing this while Sean's talking and hypnotizing everyone, then that would be a kind of a dick move, wouldn't it? I mean,
actually, if you could hypnotize somebody, that would be impressive.
I don't think that's kind of my gig. I did see a few people in my lifetime get hypnotized, and I'm such a cynic. I feel like it's fake.
Hmm. But the schedule is really quirky, Gerald. Like very quirky. Like the first 20 games, only 9 are at home. First of all, I love that because we've been home cooking for the past couple years and with mixed results, really. So I love the fact that you're going out on the road with a bunch of guys that you brought in. That's a team building. That's bonding. That I think that portends really well for the team. Plus, if you look at the back end of the schedule, Gerald, they play 8 of their last 10 games on the road as well. So you've got half your road games in about a 4-week stretch. That's if you have the right kind of depth, you can make that work because they've kind of squished the Lakers 2021 road games in about 4 weeks. The first, I think, 4.5, 5 weeks of this 2023, and then in the 2024, I think it's the last week and a half. So it's really strange. Yeah, like I understand the Grammy trip, but you're starting on the West Coast, then you're going to the Southeast, and then you're looping around back to the Northeast. It's quirky. It's strange, but I guess, like you said, because of this in-season tournament, I guess you have to make do with what they give you. I mean, it's not just the in-season tournament. They're competing with other sports teams that share arenas, sharing dates with concert venues and whatnot. So obviously this was the most challenging schedule the NBA's ever had to release.
Yeah, because like you said, with the NBA Cup, they had to make sure that they give people a little bit of a day off here and there for that. For the televised games, if they're going to be on a televised game, on the nationally televised ones, on the Saturday, Sunday games, they really want to promote and they want to make sure that they don't get load management for Joe. they're giving people an extra day off as far as bumpers. So that means there's going to be more back-to-backs. In fact, it has increased, I think, by almost one full back-to-back over what we saw last season. In the Lakers case, they get 3 more back-to-backs. It's so weird, though. The first thing that popped out to me, of all the random things that pop out to me when I looked at the schedule, you could realize you talked to Alfred Esmond the other day for the Orlando Magic, and the realization is that once we finish the first week of November, we're done with the Orlando Magic for the entire season, and there's a very real possibility we may not see the Orlando Magic again until 2025. Very real possibility.
With all due respect to Orlando and the Magic, most of us didn't even want to watch them in the 2009 finals.
Yes,
we wanted to see the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James, because Kobe would have likely had a 1-0 record against LeBron in the finals that year. Some have argued that it wouldn't be, but I think we all know what would have happened. But anyways, you know what's funny about that season too, guys? You know, there was only one team that had a winning record against us that season, counting the playoffs. You know who it was?
Be? No.
I think you guys know who it was.
You'll
guess it right.
Charlotte, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Good.
So Orlando won both games in the regular season that season, and then the Lakers won 4-1 in the finals. So they ended up getting ahead of those, and then Charlotte was the only one. It was either tied or the Lakers beat whomever they played, right, in a series during the year. Charlotte was the only team that had a winning record against the Lakers that year. Pretty phenomenal. Very underrated Laker team. 65 wins, playing 50, all 4 teams that they played in 2009 were 50-game winners. I mean, this was plus they beat a 60-game winning team in the finals. I believe Orlando won 60 games that year, if I'm correct or not. I have to look that up. But yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm used to seeing Orlando after the Atlanta game. I was kind of surprised seeing. Who was it? Houston and then Atlanta. Usually it's Atlanta and then Orlando, or Orlando and Atlanta. But hey, maybe one day we'll see.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro and also So Magic Man Sean Grice. We're previewing the Lakers season as the schedule has been released, and we're talking about it in detail. So Magic Man, again, the quirks aside about not seeing Orlando after the 4th, again, the schedule, which again is kind of weird that you throw those out there. The Lakers, though, when it comes to the first 10, well, let's say the first 12 games of the season, you remember how bad it was for us. Joe and I went over it last year. We had a big time schedule breakdown last year. We broke it down as far as the strength of schedule, did all these numbers. And when all is said and done, Sean, of course, you know how the start we had with 2-10. It was really bad, really awful. I do not expect a 2-10 start for the Lakers, but I know that the chat was asking for what we'd look like after the first 10 games. But let's start off. Let's do the first 12 games. Denver, Phoenix, Sacramento, Orlando, the Clippers, Orlando again. So that makes 6. Then you have Miami, Houston, Phoenix, Portland, Memphis, and Sacramento. Your thoughts on this, my friend? Where they will stand, seeing the schedule, how it lays out. I see a 7-5, 8-4 start for them. Your thoughts on where they might land within the first 12 games of the NBA season?
Gerald, we find ourselves in agreement again. As you were looking at the schedule, same as I was thinking the same thing. I'm thinking 8-4, but 7-5 is definitely possible. It's a tough start. There's no getting around it. Denver, Phoenix, Sacramento. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus you're playing Sacramento twice. You're playing 8 playoff teams in the first 12 games. And it's likely at least 5 or 6 of those teams will be exactly in the same standings in the playoffs that they were the previous year. So, yeah, it's a hell of a wheel start, but I like the fact that they're on the road for most of them, and I think they'll keep their heads above water.
Okay, I think they will as well. Joe, do you concur or do you see something different in those first 12 games?
I see a record the first 10 games
No,
of
12 games. I'm doing
yeah.
12 because based on
I'm gonna say if I had to pick a good number, I'm gonna say first 12 games. I picked 6. I keep seeing 6-4 the first 10. So let's say 7-5.
okay.
I'm keeping it, giving them a
Realistic,
little bit.
yeah.
I'm giving them a little bit of, hey, let's get the chemistry going a little bit. They are
We're all in that range, 7-5,
yeah.
8-4.
I would like 9-3 though. 9-3 would be something where I'm like, ooh, yeah. I think they're starting. I think they got something brewing here.
Some
So I would
kind
be
of crazy,
surprised.
yeah, some kind of crazy comeback win,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
somebody hits something at the buzzer. Like you're looking at 7-5 or 8-4, and then all of a sudden it's 9-3. Yeah.
They have one of those weird back-to-backs in San Antonio in mid-December, so they get to play back-to-back games against Victor Wembanyama. I think they did the same thing last year, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that correct? They played 2
Yes.
straight in San Antonio, so they're doing that again this year. Why do you think that is? Because they're a Texas team. There's other Texas teams there. Those are short flights. Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. Why do you think that is? They insist on doing that again to Lakers playing back to back.
Well, because I think they want to see Wemby have a huge night with the Lakers coming off a back-to-back against Dallas. So, I think that's a built-in advantage for the Spurs, Gerald. Usually, the Lakers come into San Antonio on a nationally televised game if they're good or have a intriguing team, and I I think it just portends to the Spurs trying to gin up as much Wemby fanaticism as possible, and who better than to see him off than LeBron, right? I'm sure San Antonio fans would just love seeing a win back-to-back against the Lakers with LeBron.
I think we're giving Wembanyama a little too much credit here. I think Anthony Davis, if he's healthy in those 2 games, will likely wipe the floor with him.
I do want to say though, Blue Magic has the Lakers starting out at 6-6. The Lakers will start slow. They won't start cooking until December. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. And the reason why I say that with all due respect, Blue, is if you look at that schedule, as both Sean and I posted the schedule links in the chat, if you look at December 12th, Joe, through December 23rd, leading into the Christmas Day game versus Boston at home, they have the predominant amount of games, all but 2 are on the road. And throw the San Antonio games out the window there. You do have the at Dallas. You do have at Chicago, which should still be a win. But you have at Minnesota. That might be tough. And at Oklahoma City. Plus, you have home games in that mix against Houston and New York. Your thoughts on that, my friend? That, to me, looks a little bit tougher on the surface than what you would normally think, simply because of the fact it's around Christmas time. Lakers will have already played about a month and a half, 2 months going in there. Your thoughts on that? That could be a very tricky part of the schedule for the Lakers to navigate.
Well, I'll start with the 6-6 prediction. If they go 6-6, and let's say, I don't know, they're playing Denver and Phoenix the first 2 games. So if they're going to go 6-6, that means likely they're going to probably lose those first 2 games. Then they're going to play Sacramento on the road, and then a back-to-back back home with Orlando. And I'd like to think the Lakers, with a two-day break, will beat Sacramento in Sacramento and then beat Orlando at home the next night. Then they play the LA Clippers that Wednesday, and I'd like to think that at some point the Lakers are going to beat this team at home. So I'm predicting they're going to win that game. And then they're going to have to lose against Miami or Orlando on the road that Saturday and Monday, which maybe might not be too far off. They could lose the first two games, win Sacramento and Orlando, go 2-2, beat Sacramento, go on a 3-game winning streak, and then lose in Orlando and in Miami. So yeah, I mean, it could happen. As far as
it's sneakier than it looks.
Yeah, as far as December, looking at that second week in Dallas, San Antonio, and then San Antonio on Friday that week, we swept San Antonio on something similar where we did kind of a pseudo back-to-back. Well, it was a back-to-back actually last year against San Antonio at home. I don't know why they don't do more of these kind of games. Why don't they do this for more teams to lessen travel? But anyways, if they go 2-1 in that stretch, it's obviously good, but that means they probably have to lose one of those games against San Antonio, which I don't know. If they have a full team there, I'd like to think they'd be fine. But if they play their hearts out against Dallas on the 12th and they want to sit LeBron and AD for the back end of a back-to-back and they lose to San Antonio, then they'll have a day off to play San Antonio again that Friday and then win. I'd say if I had to pick a prediction, they beat Dallas, lose to San Antonio the next night because they're sitting guys down, and then they'll win on Friday when they have a full squad. And then how they finish off that until they get to Christmas, I mean, you got to go to New York at home, and then you got to fly to Chicago, Minnesota, and Oklahoma City before Christmas. Boy, that's a crapshoot, man. I don't know. I don't know how that'll turn out. But again, if I had to pick a number, Chicago, Minnesota on a back-to-back, then a day off, and then you play Oklahoma City. If we get out of that 2-1, I think it's a win.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro on the Magic Man Sean Grice, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. It's Lakers weekend. We're breaking down the Lakers schedule for 23-24. And Magic Man, I want to go ahead and hit the Grammy trip because you know that's always a quote-unquote fun time for the Lakers as they go out on an extended trip during the setup for the Grammys and actual Grammys taking place starting in late January on January 27th when they're on the road at Golden State. They go to Houston, Atlanta, Boston, New York, Charlotte. And so that they come back finally around the 8th, and they're greeted once they get home on February 8th with the world champion Denver Nuggets. So your thoughts, my friend? The Grammy trip does not look superb, but it doesn't look overwhelming. But you and I both know once these teams are out on the road for that period of time, only the really good teams seem to stick it out and still remain winning on the back end of those road trips.
Yeah, that's it, Gerald. I mean, it takes about 10, basically all of your guys to get through a road trip like that, at least coming out with, above 500. So we got to hope either, a few guys are really shooting the ball extremely well and just shooting lights out. Hopefully by that time, we've established our defensive identity as well. And that should hold us into most games, even if our shooting is rank. But I expect that road trip to be tough. I mean, I think last year we should have done a little bit better than we did. But again, excuses. Should be better this time around. But like if they finish 500 or a game above, I'd be satisfied with that kind of split.
Joe, what are your thoughts on the Grammy trip? I think that what I'd say, Sean, a 4-4 split, but also as well, maybe if you could sneak out a 5-3 on that. Most NBA teams, they start out playing well and they start to fade as it gets closer to the end of the trip. The Lakers on their last Grammy trip, they utilized that trip as far as actually was in the earlier part of January when they took that. Remember that led you to go ahead and take on the bet for, what was it, the wings or the chip for the one chip challenge when they won the 5 in a row on the road.
That was for the wing. That was for the chip, I believe.
That was a chip challenge.
Yeah, that was the one chip
Which
challenge.
I got I got kind of crapped on for that. They're like, dude, you drank the milkshake right after. You suck. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to sit there and let my inner linings of my stomach get freaking shredded. I go, look, I took the chip. I
You did
sat
what was
there. I ate it.
necessary.
My lips freaking turned purple. I'm drinking a damn shake afterwards. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh
Well,
my
you were drinking
God,
it
I just
through
had
it,
an
I think was the
aneurysm.
issue.
Yeah. But yeah.
Drink.
Then you do it. I told him, I go, then you do it. You can have a milkshake. I'll buy it.
eat the crazy insanity pepper from Honduras and then just wait to call 911.
No, see, I would never do that. That's murderous. No. So I made up for it with the wings. Okay, you guys saw snot bubbles. I know I did when I saw a replay. Snot bubbles. My face felt like
snot bubbles as it was happening.
My face was the surface of the sun when I was getting to the last bit of that. By the way, the reason why that didn't hurt as much, those wings, I don't know, because it was the first batch that day, because it was early in the morning. Holy crap. Probably the best wings I've ever had in my life. So Buffalo Wild Wings, Temecula. Not all Buffalo Wild Wings are equal, but the one in Temecula, wow. Wings were fantastic. And hey, you do it if you guys think you can do better. I'm just saying. But anyways, back to the Grammy trip. I would like to think if you have almost an entire month at home, I would like to think that you're fresh enough to get on the road after that and have a nice week and a half trip of, I don't know, let's say Golden State, Houston, Atlanta, Boston, New York, and Charlotte, right? Before you have 2 days off before you get home to play Denver. I'd like to think that we can get a 4-2 record. I'd like to be greedy there and go 4-2. So beat Houston, beat Atlanta, beat Boston, and beat Charlotte. Maybe you lose to New York that Saturday and you lose to Golden State on the first game of the Grammy trip at Chase. That makes sense. I could see that maybe. So give me 4-2, however you can do it. But definitely got to beat Boston. Okay, definitely got to. I want a sweep of Boston, and I would love a sweep of the Clippers this year, guys. Those are the two things I really, really want this year. 6 wins between those two chumps.
Sean, in early March. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead, Gerald.
I was going to say, we talked about the road trip there as far as for the Lakers. Another stretch is at home that gets pretty tough because starting right around February 29th, starts out with Washington as an easy game. But again, another home game with Denver on the 2nd of March. Then you have Oklahoma City, Sacramento, Milwaukee, and Minnesota to go ahead and round out the homestand. And then you have one Sacramento game on the road that you play on the 13th of March. And then you come right back home for 4 more, but that's against Golden State, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and what could be a very surprising Indiana team. You remember, you saw what happened last time they played the Indiana Pacers, and you saw the last second shot by Andrew Nembhard, but I digress on that. My friend, when you see that homestand virtually outside of one road game, that's a lot of home games, which is good. And Joe mentioned that, but they're not being served cupcakes for the most part while they're doing it.
Not at all, Gerald. It's starting, it's kind of funny. The NBA schedule is starting to look a lot like Division I college football schedule, Gerald. No easy games. No easy games. No. It's just looking like it's going to be rough shot through that stretch as well. Very good teams on that list. I expect at least a couple of them to be rolling or on a winning streak coming into our barn. So yeah, I agree with you, Gerald. That is not easy. There's kind of minefields all over that place.
Joe, when it gets to the next longest road trip after that to really close out the season, although they do end up on the road to end the season, there is a 6-game road trip in late March, early April, where the team goes to Milwaukee, Memphis, Indiana, Brooklyn, Toronto, and Washington. We really should know where the team is in relation to where they stand as far as in the playoff chase at that point in time. I think if they have a good 4-2 road trip there, I think that could really solidify where they stand in the Western Conference.
March again is the second month where they're practically at home for almost an entire month. I think they're at home even more in March than they are in January. So February, okay, I'm going to say this again, and if those of you who are looking at your schedule, you can see it. Even the game before, they're at home, and they're at home because they're playing the Clippers on the 28th of February. Even the game before that, they're in Phoenix. So they're not really that far away, right? And then the game before that, they're at home against San Antonio, and they're at Golden State. So they're not leaving after the All-Star break. I want you guys to this is the part I wanted to wait till the end. After they play Utah on the 14th, Valentine's Day, Magic Man's favorite day.
For hot yoga.
Yes, well, and more. After Valentine's Day in Utah, they are going to practically be on the West Coast until Milwaukee on March 26th. I want you to think about that for a second. From the 15th, or that night when they get back from the game, or let's just say 15th to keep it easy, February 15th until March 25th, they are going to be on the West Coast or home from that date to the 20th. You're talking about almost 6 weeks. 6 weeks. They're not leaving the Western time zone. So you guys, because we were all enamored about, oh, they're playing 15 games 3 out of 4 nights. Or I'm sorry, that was the Clippers. They're playing 15 back-to-back games, and it's 3 more than they had before. Guys, this schedule is setting up to be perfect for the Lakers. They just have to play it right. If they're going to use their analytics or their mechanisms that they all use now, you want to concentrate on those windows. The long road trips are preceded by long trips at home and in the same. I mean, guys, isn't that what hurts a lot of time? The time zone change, right? You fly to Chicago. Phil Jackson in 1996, when they were talking about why the Bulls were able to win 72 games. I mean, Michael Jordan with a vendetta, you might as well say goodbye. The guy was a freaking psycho, right? But in conjunction with that, you had a schedule that he said they didn't travel very far because they're a central team. They're a Midwest team that didn't travel as far. They're not the Lakers going from the ass end of California all the way to the tip of Boston or New York or New Jersey at the time or Philadelphia, right? So in this case, there is a stretch of 6 weeks where they do not leave the Pacific Standard Zone time. Now, I haven't dissected a schedule like this before, so maybe it happened last year and I just never looked at the schedule the way I did. I'll go ahead and do it tonight.
Pretty hard last year.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice anything like that ever. So this is pretty unprecedented, at least from what I've ever seen in a schedule. The Lakers have a very favorable schedule because we've accepted the fact that back-to-back games now are load management time, and the fact that you have LeBron James, who's kind of got the trump card on that. You can kind of give him a little bit of leeway because he is going to go into his 21st season. I can say, all right, LeBron's the exception. You know, just like when veteran receivers in the NFL or running backs, if they've been playing for 13, 14 years, they won't practice on Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. I get it. So we are looking at a very favorable schedule. Should Darvin Ham use his guys correctly? And I think if there isn't any major injuries, the Lakers will win 50 games because I don't think any team this year is going to win 60. So 50 games is a pretty darn good number. They can go 50-32, 52-30. I would be extremely happy, and I think they would definitely get at least a four seed with that record.
I think they would be higher if they go above 50.
Could
I think
be.
they get to 2-3
Could
right
be.
there.
Could
I
be.
think they'd be looking
Yeah,
right there.
absolutely.
But before we head on out, Magic Man, I thought I'd give you a little chuckle after this. We reported earlier that the team with the most miles is the Clippers. To give you a reference, the Lakers have the 9th most traveled miles that they will undertake during the course of the NBA season, but they are about 7,000 less than the LA Clippers. Your thoughts on that, my friend? I mean, they actually go over 3,000 miles to the next closest team, the LA Clippers. So great to see, if you're a Lakers fan, that the Clippers are having to travel so much more.
Yeah, Gerald. Not known as the Road Warriors either, considering the fact that a lot of times on nationally televised games, especially if they were back to back, either one of those or both of those gentlemen would take the night off. If they try and do that this year, as much as they did last year, Gerald, if they
What's going to be clipped?
clip's gonna be clip, yeah, it's
Clip's going to clip.
they're gonna be clipped themselves
Yeah.
pretty fast.
And
And I will. Oh, go ahead, Gerald.
no, I was going to say, with the players that they have, especially their two stars, like the Lakers, very fragile, but even more fragile to the extent that they actually, are out more games than what LeBron and AD are at. And then you come off the serious knee injury that, Kawhi had. Well, we don't know how serious because he doesn't actually tell you how serious, or it never gets reported exactly to the severity because he keeps everything a secret. But yeah, that could spell a lot of doom. The travel could be a killer on the Clippers this season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the seam, Gerald, that that just comes apart at the end. I think you're right. I think, if those guys were maybe a couple years younger and didn't have as many miles on 'em and didn't have the
Oh, they're
injury,
going to add more miles this year. That's for sure.
yeah. So I think the rubber is just almost bald on these guys right now, Gerald. I think
Well, they aged quite a bit last year.
yeah, they did. They did.
Pressure too, guys.
And Nicholas,
Pressure.
yeah,
Yes.
and Nicholas Batum isn't a young man anymore. And
He's just announced his retirement after the season, I think, and then
yeah,
also the Olympics. I heard that on the Hoop Collective today.
and man, like, is Marcus Morris going to even be able to play? Because he was a glorified pylon last year. The past 8 weeks, with his defense. So I do not see anything good for that team this year, Gerald. And one note before we head on out, should be noted, Gerald. The Lakers do not have to deal with the death trap known as the Mountain Time Zone this year. They don't have any games where they play Denver and or Phoenix and or Utah back to back at
Yes,
all.
that's always a killer for them when they do that. That is absolutely killer. You're absolutely right. When they either, especially when they play a game at home or somewhere near on the West Coast and then have to travel to, especially the Denver, but like you said, Salt Lake or Phoenix, they have to go ahead and do that, especially the Denver game, and try to adjust themselves to that altitude in one day. So that's just something right there. I think that people need to keep in mind. That's kind of a break, but yeah, Denver does get to greet us on a couple of different occasions at the crypt. At a very timely, like, Lakers coming off a road trip. Oh, who's there to greet us? It's the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, great scheduling right there indeed. But guys, looking forward to it as far as the schedule as a whole. I do not think that the Lakers will go 2-10 once again. We've already talked about how 7-5 is probably realistic for them coming off to start for that. I'd be ecstatic if they do better than that. But Joe is already talking about 50-game win season for the Lakers, looking at the schedule here. Magic Man, what are you thinking looking off the schedule right now?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? I'm still gonna go with my gut, and I'm not gonna change. I think we were right on. I think right now I'm going to go 49-33.
Yeah, I'm thinking 47-50. That's the thing. I'm thinking right a little bit of what above Vegas is predicting for the most part, 47-50 as well. I think that there are advantages that you can take place in the season. Joe, do you see an area where the Lakers, like you said, I think you mentioned earlier about there's there's two homestands in particular where the Lakers really, really need to take advantage. Is that correct?
Now, yeah. So put it in perspective. How did the Lakers play last year in the regular season? Don't think about the players. Don't think about the players and the trade and all. Just base it off of their regular season record and the overall grade. How did they play in the regular season?
So it was a tale of two different teams, basically. I would say team 1A, I'd give them a D, and team 1B, I would give them an A minus.
Okay, so you're looking at basically a C plus.
Yes.
Okay, so C plus brought them 43 wins. Now, is there a consensus here that this team is drastically better because they're going to be able to play right out the gate together? They got good depth, youth, and then, of course, I know you have a year older LeBron, but let's just say that LeBron at least plays somewhat the same as he did last year, and then you have an AD who looks to be probably determined to finally get that MVP type season. What would you say this season? What would be the extra wins? Would you see this team winning 7 more games with a complete team that is played together from training camp, and you have one of your stars who's in his prime, about to possibly maybe have his best season, barring any injuries, and then maybe sustain LeBron a little bit like he did last year? It's just, let's not burn him out by the end, right? So do you see this team going +7 in wins? Would it make sense?
I think it makes sense, Joe.
Yeah.
But also the fact that, like you said, they're here. It's the same team essentially that was here at the trade deadline. Plus, I think they got incrementally better with the additions that they made offseason. I'm not holding out hope that these guys are like huge advanced leaps and bounds over what they had last year as far as the new additions yet. As we covered them, we did breakdowns of each of these new guys that are coming on, and they do provide incrementally better, or at least if their potential is fulfilled in 2 of the cases, it could be a lot better, but we'll see what happens there. But I think because you're getting the team that you got at the trade deadline, which did so much better and took this team really on their backs and really carried them to the season that you saw. I think if you're getting that team the entire season, plus no distractions with Patrick Beverley, no distractions with Russell Westbrook, and of course, the first and foremost thing, you've got to get 65 games each from LeBron and AD. I think you could see that 7-game increase right there. I mean,
so looking at the schedule, they played. Let me see if I can get when was the All-Star break? The All-Star break was
February 15th, 17th, around there.
Yeah, February 15th. So after they got back, they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 games out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So they went 14-9. Let's extrapolate that. 14-9, right?
yes.
So we're looking at a winning percentage of 60%. So 60%, if we go 50 by 30 by 82, you're looking at almost dead even on 50 wins. And you have a little bit more depth with this team. But let's say it evens out with the fact that LeBron probably loses a notch. So that's where I based I knew it was around that same percentage. I just needed to confirm it. So I can see them winning 50 games. But it can't have a 3 or 4 week gap where AD or LeBron are out. That can't happen. Otherwise, it's probably going to be 43 to 45 wins.
So in 21-22, around the time AD went down, the Lakers were third in the Western Conference, and they were 2.5 games out of first place. When LeBron went down, the Lakers were in fourth place in the Western Conference and still within striking distance of first. But Gerald, we all know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They went from third all the way to scratching and clawing for a play-in. So that's the difference. That's the difference. Like Joe was saying, any 3 to 6 weeks period of time where one or two of them are out, it's going to significantly pose a detriment to this team trying to get a top 4 seed for home court, at least in the first round. They need relatively good health for those two guys.
The Lakers are going to have to make a decision in important games this year to not play LeBron too much. They're going to have to concede some wins, I believe, to keep him fresh. They cannot play him 38 minutes. If they're playing Boston on Christmas, okay. If there's a statement game that they need to make, okay. But they have to keep LeBron fresh, and a lot of that's going to come at the shoulders of Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is just as important as Darvin Ham's rotations in keeping LeBron fresh. And you saw a little bit of, for the first time as a Laker, where the Lakers were able to maintain leads and win games, or at least stretch certain parts of the game in the playoffs without LeBron playing, where they were up 10 and they ended up 16 by the time LeBron got back in. So you started seeing that a little bit in the playoffs. It's just unfortunate we ran into a team of destiny. Denver reminded me of the Washington Redskins of 1991. They were like that 1-year wonder, or you can use, I wouldn't say Dallas was a 1-year wonder. They should have won in 2006. They got hosed by the refs in that series. And they did kind of choke a little bit in game 3 when they were up 13. But again, I digress. I just don't see Denver. Just don't see Denver and their personality. Maybe Jamal Murray has it.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
But I think maybe I don't see them repeating. I don't see them being having the mentality that, ooh, we want to be a dynasty. You can usually see that with teams. You saw it in Golden State. You could see these guys were invested in being multiple-time champions. So Denver's going to have to prove to me that I'm wrong on that one. Again, I picked Denver to go to the finals last year. I just thought Miami would beat them. But Lakers, as far as the Lakers are concerned, all these predictions are just too difficult to hang your hat on right now because we're playing with way too much mileage with one of our main guys. And our other guy has not yet been able to really, truly finish a full season in terms of a championship run. And 2020 wasn't his fault. That was unprecedented circumstances. Maybe he would have that year. But AD is 31. AD has to have an MVP season this year. It's time. And I guarantee you, if he does, or at least a Defensive Player of the Year, and he may be a top 3 MVP, if he has that, his street clothes thing won't be a problem anymore, unless, of course, Charles Barkley continues to not watch anything or do anything and just yaps.
He yaps a lot.
It's probably, he's one of those anomalies where people just listen to him yap. I was hard on Shaq about him also being someone who doesn't prepare. But maybe my irritation with Shaq kind of was spilled over with Barkley because they're always kind of neck and neck. But I will say this: I've been seeing some clips of Shaq's reactions when Ernie would say something or Chuck, and I gotta say it was pretty freaking hilarious. The last one I saw was when Ernie said, I smash tricks," as in the cereal. And whoever the man was, he needs to win 10 Emmys for the timing. He goes right to Shaq. Shaq's like,
like, okay, Ernie.
and Ernie had no clue unless they played it that way.
Yeah.
Unless Ernie became a really good actor, which I wouldn't put it past those guys because Ernie's pretty bright. But I thought that was, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes I won't like somebody, and then they'll do something that just hits a button with me, and I'm like, I like that guy now. I always love Shaq, of course. I'm not saying that, but again, the preparation and you're supposed to watch the damn games, guys, and be an analyst at least a little bit.
I think the last time Ernie surprised Shaq was when he knew who Rick Ross was.
Why wouldn't Ernie know? Who was he around the whole time in Atlanta?
Ernie, have you ever seen a documentary about Ernie Johnson, Joe?
I know that his son plays a huge part in his life and how that whole dynamic works. Father. So yeah, I've seen some stuff with Ernie.
Yeah, I remember his dad used to announce Atlanta Braves baseball.
Yes.
I used to watch that with my grandfather, so that was a memory we have of Ernie Johnson Sr. But he, Joe, he's really a devoted family person. Like if he's not at the studio, he's usually at home doing something in the backyard or fishing with his family. He's really not up on all this stuff. So
he is, because he's around these guys. He does baseball.
He's got good producers.
Dodger fans don't like Ernie Johnson very much because every time Ernie does a Dodger game, people sense that he's always homering against them. But Ernie's around.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Buck Martinez too.
Yeah, I very recently realized that both sides say the same thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, how can you cheer for one or the other and then both think the other one's against the other? That doesn't make any sense. I know Stan Van Gundy is always against the Lakers, that's for sure. Whenever he's done some color there, but Ernie is around NBA basketball. What do basketball players want to be if they're not basketball players? They want to be hip hop guys. So why wouldn't he know who Rick Ross is? That's the culture in that sport.
I'm just saying, what Rick Ross talks about.
If he knew who Too Short was, San Francisco legend, then I'd be like, damn, Ernie, all right, I didn't know it was like that. Because I got a lot of friends who are from the Bay, and Too Short's like their guy, right? So yeah, I think Rick Ross is mainstream enough to where I don't think I would have been surprised that he didn't know who he was.
So let's close out the schedule with the final 5 games of the season. The Lakers are at home on early April 6th against Cleveland. After that final huge road trip that they have, they are at home on April 6th against Cleveland. Then they have the next night against Minnesota. So that's a back-to-back for them. 2 days later, they're at home against Golden State, and they finish up on the road at Memphis and at New Orleans. Your thoughts on that, Magic Man? Again, those are 5 potential playoff teams in the mix right there for you to close out the season. We might not need those wins, but there's a good chance that we will, because of the West, how stacked it is, that we need to go at least 3-2 in those final 5 games.
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? It'd be really nice if we got off on a really hot start and was able to have a couple of those wins in our back pocket right at the end, so we didn't need them. Could be tough. Yeah, I think that might be I'm hoping for like a 4-1 stretch there, but thinking more likely it's 3-2. But yeah, that's a buzzsaw to end the year too, especially if you're in a tight race and you're looking up at somebody and you need, one or two games. That could be the difference.
Joe, any thoughts on those final 5 games before we head on out, my friend?
I think their placement in the playoffs will be almost determined by then, anyways. In those cases, I'd say
some of those teams might be just sitting players down.
Yeah, I'd like to think they can beat Cleveland at home at that point on a Saturday, and then Minnesota the next night. But let's say they split that. They have a very good. They've always, even when they were terrible, always had good games against Golden State in important games. So I'm going to say they beat Cleveland at home on Saturday and then lose to Minnesota on Sunday on a back-to-back, because the Lakers are going to probably rest some guys then, right? Then they play Golden State a couple nights later. They win that, and then now they're 2-1. They play Memphis 3 days later. Let's say they lose that, and then they beat New Orleans to finish out the regular season. So 3-2 is a pretty safe number after a 77 game season. At that point, I'll take a 3-2 record to finish the last 5 games. If we can get 4-1, and it means we get a spot that's better, let's say we're able to jump from 4 to 3 because of it, cool. But I think spots will probably be set, especially if the Lakers are in the top 4. They'll be set by then.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break, and that has been our Lakers breakdown for the schedule for 2023, 2024. The deep dive you've been waiting for, and the deep dive you've been asking for on the Lakers schedule. I'm glad that we got a chance to do it on a Friday night here to start our Lakers weekend. Again, we have Team USA recap on Sunday, hopefully in combination with either the Lakerholic Spotlight at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday, or scheduled right around 6 or 6:30. Still trying to figure that one out for a team recap or team preview of the New York Knicks with Chris Jose LeBron. He does a great job on his own end with his sports network. So go ahead and make sure you catch our thoughts on the Knicks coming up here on Sunday as well. But guys, some overall thoughts. This schedule is not pretty. Magic Man put in the comments exactly where it's being rated. And to our chagrin, it's not being rated on the low end. It's being rated on the high end as far as difficulty is concerned. So the Lakers will, if they do get to be in the top 4 in the Western Conference, they will have earned every bit of it. Your thoughts, guys. Sean, I'll start with you first before we head on out.
Yeah, Gerald, it's really quirky, and again, just to reiterate, I think just the NBA in-season tournament kind of just changed the schedule just subtly enough where it's causing these weird quirks with everybody. Lakers have 15 back-to-backs. If I'm not mistaken, I believe either Milwaukee and or Phoenix has above 10 as well. Some teams barely play on national television. So, I mean, you have to deal with the cards in front of you. You can only play the team that's in front of your schedule. It's a little rough to start. It's a little rough to end it. Hopefully, we could smooth out the edges in between those 55 games. And I still think, like you said, Joe, 47 to 50 wins, I think is still reasonable given the strength of schedule.
Joe, any last thoughts on the schedule before we head on? I know we're going to be hitting it at various points during the season and maybe even upcoming, but glad we got the chance to do it, and I'm glad we got the chance to go ahead and talk about the schedule in detail. But any last thoughts, my friend, on the schedule before?
When you delve into the schedule, it becomes a very favorable schedule. The long road trips are all preceded by really, really long homestands. So there's no excuse. There's going to be very little excuse. There are no mountain time back-to-back games in Utah and Denver, which is the first time ever in my life that I can remember that, right? So we have no excuses. We have no excuses. I shouldn't say we. The Lakers have no excuses. They have a very, very favorable schedule. You have to play 41 games on the road, and you have to play 41 at home. But the way it's structured is extremely advantageous to that team because you're sitting at home practically almost a month the first time and almost 6 weeks in the same time zone. And most of those games are at home. You're not really flying to Portland or, like you're flying to Phoenix. It's a freaking 50-minute flight. You fly to Sacramento. It's a 50-minute flight. So if you're going to sit there and be like, I flew for 50 minutes. I'm tired. Okay, you know what? Just retire. But anyways, I like the schedule. I believe if the Lakers were able to muster 43 wins and 2 series wins last year with a one-legged LeBron, a burnt-out AD, and a basically bunch of misfits, right? Put in all in this mix of stuff at the last minute. Guys, we're going to have continuity. And we have a guy that's already showing that he's looking like he's improving, which is Austin Reeves. And he'll be in game shape before he even hits the courts at training camp. We have everything going for us right now, except for a big man, which they will get at some point between now and the trade deadline. I'm sure of it. Hopefully sooner rather than later, whoever that is. I'm not saying who. And we just need to hope that LeBron can maybe play like he did last year, minus the overplay. That's it. I feel very confident. Not Laker Tom confident, because for all we know, Laker Tom thinks the Lakers are going to win 65 games. No. But I feel that if the Lakers win 50 games, they're going to solidify a top 4 seed. It's however it gets 2, 3, 4. And then at that point, if they're not burnt out from the regular season, if Darvin Ham was able to muster some of that Greg Popovich rotation setup in 2014, the Lakers will make a run, and I believe the Lakers will win the championship.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. Join us for Lakers Weekend, Lakerholic Spotlight on Sunday afternoon.
I feel like I'm preaching a lot tonight.
That's okay.
Am I preachy?
We don't mind.
Does this sound preachy?
No. Actually, we kind of like it. You're not mad at anyone this time. You're just telling people how it is, and you're talking about exactly the parameters of what's going on with the schedule and how the quirks and how the Lakers can take advantage of it. We found it very insightful and actually some of your best work. There you go. Absolutely.
Thank you.
But they want to rant, my friend. They want to rant.
Well, rants are only good when they're legitimate. If I start to rant for no reason, then I'm turning into all the other buffoons on TV.
That's for sure.
So I need a good thing. I need a reason to rant. The USA team's 4-0 already. The Lakers have a good schedule. Austin Reeves is playing well already, even though he hasn't started yet. LeBron seems to be doing really well with his training. AD looks like he's getting ready for a bodybuilding competition. What's there to rant about? I mean, I could rant about other things, not basketball. But
well, see, there you go. S1 Nico says, I prefer Mad Joe.
I know you guys do. I know, believe me. I get it. And I can give you guys rants. I just need to, I like to make sure it's at the right moments too, because I think it has more of an effect that matters instead of just hot air.
Okay.
And then, the last time I ranted, I think Gerald got mad at me too.
Really?
Yeah. He called me a chauvinist.
Oh, that one. Yeah. That's right. That was, yeah. Okay. But if you rant about something else, I'm not mad at you all the time. I mean,
nice.
Sometimes your rants are really,
Joe, just say something else.
How about NBA refs?
That's too easy.
Okay. Well,
by the way, the refs suck in international ball too. Maybe we just
they're worse, man.
Maybe we just need to come to grips that
this is how they ref. This is how they ref with their eyes
all referees suck.
Oh.
All of them suck in every sport. Angel Hernandez can't even get the judge to give him anything. Nothing. He's like, no. He'll come back. No. It's just not. We're not a. I think society is so technological at this point. It's impossible for a referee to really be effective anymore. Whereas before, you can ref without worrying about 45,000 cameras on a play that is at the ass end of the court, and the ref's supposed to turn into Inspector Gadget and know exactly what happened at the split second it happened, right? I'm just saying, it's impossible. My beef with the refs is, why are you calling a foul when you don't see it? Remember I told you guys the differences? So if somebody gets fouled and you don't see it, okay, you didn't see it. But if you call a foul and in the replay there is nothing hitting his arm, why did you call a foul then? You didn't see it. There, you got a little rant there. It's a repeat one, but it's a good one.
Yeah, you guys right. Ty Washington just got cut by the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think he's still a Tanta player. He's a first-round draft pick from last year for Houston, so he could still be available as far as someone to fill out the roster. As long as
he can cut one of those ties.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
But that's part of his name. That's part of his thing.
Yeah. Well,
but I will say, he needs to get on a team first.
We'll start calling you Gerald Glassford.
Oh my gosh, please don't. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break.
I'm gonna go get the papers.
Just make sure.
I was just watching that, by the way. Tie two ties. Yeah, see, there you go. You got a nickname. Tie two ties.
Join us Sunday for the Lakerholic Spotlight, 2 p.m. Pacific, and then also Sunday night. I think we're going to go ahead and have a team profile of the New York Knicks with Chris Jose LeBron joining us then. Want to make sure everyone gets a heads up on what Laker Tom's latest article is all about. The 10 questions 10 Laker players must answer to win a championship. So you go ahead and check it out. It's very interesting, to say the least, on the questions he's asking. Yeah, I know. Smack those bottles together indeed. As when Nico says, "Attaboy Joe, I knew you had it in you." Adam Hurley says, "They say that you couldn't go near Jordan without them calling a foul." Well, that's the Jordan.
Phil Jackson used to say Michael Jordan got fouled on almost every play.
Well, that same thing we're going for Shaq. He did get fouled seemingly on every play. So, yeah, if you looked at the tape, you would see him just like people pulling on his arms, his shoulders, trying to jump on his back each and every time. Yeah, well, you see what happened there. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks so much for watching, listening. We'll be back for sure on Sunday. Go ahead and give you a Team USA recap. Also, as well, going to go ahead and hopefully give you a team preview of the New York Knicks. And of course, Jamie Sweet and Laker Tom will be back to go ahead and hopefully argue to art entertainment. It's always great when they argue. I just have to drop in Christian Wood probably if I'm on with them, and they'll probably get them started. But we'll see what happens. But it is also Lakerholic Spotlight. Looking forward to it. Please go ahead and let anybody know out there that's a Lakers fan in your life to go ahead and go subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Please do so, because it really is appreciated, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, like our page. Doesn't matter. Just go ahead and support us any which way you can, because it's always appreciated. And here's hoping you have a fantastic, safe, and dry Lakers weekend, because it's going to be a very wet one for most of us out here in the West. But please have a great Lakers weekend right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Kurt, AD is a stretch forward. Changed my mind. There you go, indeed.